So, um, we were going to talk about humans and solar system, right?
That's right. I have a question for you about the solar system.
Okay.
And I think it's a pretty hard one, so think about it. In our solar system,
Yeah.
which planet has the most moons?
Saturn.
Are you sure?
I think it's Saturn.
Well, when you say I think, that's pretty accurate. So here's the answer. It's a little complicated. Saturn, moons are hard because the planets are very far away. So scientists aren't always sure whether that's a moon or just a speck on their thing. So the moons they've confirmed, Saturn and Jupiter have the same number of confirmed moons, according to NASA. But of all the ones they're not sure of, Saturn has a few more unconfirmed moons. So you're right
Oh.
in one way. Of all the ones out there, Saturn maybe has the most. And of the ones that they've determined for sure, Saturn and Jupiter are tied. Good job. So you were saying that you've met in school a few kids from Cuba here.
Yeah.
How do you like them? Are they fun?
Yes. Some of them are very nice, and some of them are very generous. So.
Yeah, that's nice. But then you said that most of the kids in your school are from other countries.
Yeah. No, from my class.
From your class. What other countries are they from?
2 are from Italy,
Italy, yes.
and one is from Swiss.
Ah, yes.
And if I'm correct, also another one is from another one is Muslim or Russian.
Uh-huh.
Their dad is Arab and their mother is a Russian.
I understand.
So
So that's very interesting. So it's like a small United Nations. Do you know what the United Nations is?
United Nations.
The United Nations. United Nations is this international organization. All the countries in the world are part of the United Nations. The headquarters are in New York, in my country. But people from all over the world send their diplomats to the United Nations in New York, where they can talk in one place about everything that's important in the world. So what you'll find is that lots of countries have embassies, like where we are, but in America they'll also have an office at the United Nations. And that's a special place of diplomacy where everybody can meet all at the same time, all at once. So if you ever get a chance to go to New York, you have to be sure to visit the United Nations.
Headquarters.
Exactly. And that's a place where you can run into everybody from all over the world. So when I say that your class is like the United Nations,
It's like a tiny little place for people from around the world.
exactly. So there you go. The next time you see the United Nations or the flag, you'll know that there's a United Nations office here in Havana.
And I have a question for you.
Another question for me? Go for it.
It's about the EU.
Okay. What's the EU?
The United Europe.
In English? Yes. In English we call it the European Union,
Yeah.
but it's different in other languages. Yes.
In French they call it Union Européenne.
Yes.
And this one is about how many countries are in EU.
Ooh, that's a very good question. And it's very current. By that I mean it's something that's happening right now, because the European Union, which invites countries from all over Europe to be a member, is now discussing whether a few more countries can join.
Yeah.
And that way there can be more countries that are part of Europe that can share things. Now it's confusing because sometimes they add countries,
Yeah.
and I was just talking to my daughter, and I was talking about Brexit. Do you remember have you ever heard that term before?
No.
Brexit. That's in English, and it's made up of 2 words. And go ahead.
exit and I don't know.
Okay, I'll tell you the story. The European Union started with just 6 countries.
Yeah.
And over time it added more and
now
more
it has
and more.
27 to 28.
Well, it depends on that, and that's the problem because about a year or two ago, Great Britain left.
Yeah. The UK left.
The UK left. UK is also called Great Britain.
Yeah.
And you Brexit, Britain, and exit. Brexit. So in English, the process of England, the UK leaving the European Union is called
Brexit.
Brexit. And that was a major change because obviously the UK was an important part of the EU. And when it left, then they had to adjust. And so that's why Brexit was such an important matter. So it had gotten up to 28, I think, and then the UK left. So I think it's at 27, I think that's
Yeah.
right. But then just this week I read that there was discussions about more countries joining, about extending invitations to Ukraine and Georgia and one other. So who knows? When you ask me this question again in 5 more years, it might be a different answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
That-
even over 30.
Who knows? That was a good question. Very good. So let's see what else is going on. You were telling me that you're not a big football fan,
Yeah.
but you know what is happening really big this year in the world of football?
World Cup.
The World Cup. What's the World Cup?
It's a football match
Mm-hmm.
of that contains soccer teams from around the world,
Yeah.
like France, Spain, and
Mhm.
other countries,
Yes.
and they compete to win a World Cup.
Exactly. The title for the best country in football in the entire world. Do you remember the last World Cup? I think you
No.
were very young then.
Yeah,
It was, what year is this now? Was it in Brazil or was it in Russia last?
Brazil.
See it. And that was very exciting, and now they're going to do it again, this time in Qatar.
If I'm correct, was it in 2014?
I think there was one in 2018,
Oh,
and that may have been Russia. We'll have to check.
okay.
I'm not sure. But this year, my country, the United States, is in the World Cup.
Oh,
So we're going to compete. So this November, when it starts, I want you to be cheering for my country at least once, okay? I don't think Mongolia made it this year. I'm sorry.
Mongolia doesn't have that much football teams, I think. Like,
Well, what kind of sports do they play in Mongolia, as far as you know?
they play rugby, I think.
Ah, that's a fun game.
Yeah, football. Basically,
Yeah.
American football.
Oh, I have to beg to differ. I'm a big fan of American football. And I think American football is very different from rugby, but I understand what you're saying. That's a joke. Because from my point of view, they're very different. But really, I don't think anybody else in the world understands either game.
Yeah, because like rugby has the same type of ball they
Mhm.
use, and like it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. Nobody else in the world really plays it. Do you know what other sport that is very American and very few other countries play, but they play here in Cuba?
I think. No, I don't.
I'm thinking baseball.
Oh,
Have you seen them playing baseball here in Cuba?
yes. No, sometimes.
Baseball is a game where you swing the
I know.
ball,
I know.
swinging the ball. And in Cuba, like in America, they have a very big professional league, and baseball is very, very popular here. Have you had a chance to see a baseball game here?
No.
We might have to work on that because it's a very fun opportunity, and it only costs 10 pesos. So maybe you can save up your pesos and do that. So let's see. My family is coming to visit soon.
Oh,
I have 2 daughters.
two daughters.
One is 15 and one is 17.